2.
Everybody else ready? Okay.
Payroll ordinance.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to
Good
welcome
evening.
everybody to the Village of Walton Hills regular council meeting of Tuesday, June 15th, 2021 at 7:05 p.m. This meeting is being live streamed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We are following House Bill 404 that allows public bodies to meet electronically through July 2021. Okay. Pledge of Allegiance. We got it behind us now. Sorry. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to take a moment of silence for our deceased residents, Jean Murphy, Mary Porter, and Frank Rostakowski. And pray for all our active duty service personnel too, please. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to any residents or anybody else watching our meeting. Any comments at this time related to the agenda items? Oh, that might help. Did I skip roll call? Yes. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Here.
Councilman Linville.
Present.
Councilwoman Allen.
Here.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Here.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Here.
Councilman Weed.
Present. All council members here this evening, along with our fiscal officer, Angela Rive, and our law solicitor, John Montello. Now, is there any comments related to agenda items? Okay, and as we move through, if anybody has something, as always, we are okay with that. Mayor's report. I can do that right now. This is for the month of May. This is our monthly court report. Our total revenue for the month of May was $19,150. Our year-to-date is $101,954.72. The last year-to-date was $75,155.47. Okay. Then a police report for the month of May. The Walton Hills Police Department issued 197 citations in the month of May. The predominant violation was driving on a closed roadway with 38 citations, followed by 37 written for speed and 14 citations for driving under suspension. There were 4 arrests for driving while under the influence of alcohol and drugs. With that said, since it's kind of related to that, in case anybody got any calls today, the State Highway Patrol and the federal motor carriers came into our village to enforce commercial truck laws. At the request of the State Highway Patrol, they did request our help, and 2 of our officers did assist. The enforcement was done on Alexander Road and Northfield Roads. Happened today. There were 15 total stops today for various things. Okay. All right, let's see here. Any council comments at this time?
Mayor,
Yes.
is there any plans to get another K-9 for our police work?
We have personnel on the motion to go in executive session tonight. It's on your agenda. It's right there. So that is one of the things we are going to talk about.
Okay.
It's right there. If you look at item number 10, Mr. Linville.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any other council comments? Any comments from any residents or anybody else watching?
Not yet.
How many residents do we have on it?
There's 9 watching from the residents, yes, same sheriff.
Okay, good.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
would
Jennifer.
someone from the Infrastructure Committee like to just give a real quick synopsis of what happened tonight? Or do they need further discussion before?
No, you can do it, or you can do it under old and new business. If you want, you could either do it now or under old and new business after we do the legislation, either way.
What would you like, Mr. Mayor?
I'm good with, let's go through the legislation and how about we do it under old or new business, under new business, how's that? That way we'll get through in case there's any questions from residents related to the legislation. Okay, is everybody ready to move on for the legislation? Okay. First item, under item 8 is A, Resolution 2021-13. That's the tax budget for 2022. We did discuss that in both of our COW meetings. Angela, our fiscal officer, would you like to comment on that or just?
Does anyone have any questions? I know we've gone over it. It's a housekeeping item to do to the county in July so that they can send us our certificate of estimated resources for next year.
And we'd like to get that passed, so I would like to ask for a suspension of that. I know we talked about that, and
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
if there's no questions from any other council members, I'd like to introduce for suspension Resolution 2021-13.
okay. Do we want to go, so you'll introduce it, we'll go through them first, or do you want to, I thought we'd go through, and if there's any discussion, then we'll
Oh,
go
okay.
through them. So you'll introduce that for suspension? Okay. Then we'll just go through them real quick here. So Jennifer Allen will do that one, introduce that one for suspension. Item B, Resolution 2021-14, Dunham Road resurfacing asphalt paving extension. I know we did discuss that in our COW meetings. We also, I think what we wanted to do was make sure that we had legislation showing the change in the payment of that. And that is what this is. That's the section on top the hill towards going south. That we extended that just to make it complete. And that was the recommendation from the engineer and our service director, along with council and myself. Okay. Who would like to introduce that for suspension?
Mayor Colgraf,
Yes.
I would like to introduce Resolution 2021-14 for suspension.
Okay, well, Mary, you okay? Mary had beat you, but that's okay. It's hard for you to
I
say.
had my hand up, I didn't
That's-
say anything. Go ahead, Ray.
Either way, whatever you guys work out.
Go ahead.
Ray's
Put
got it?
down Mr. Whedon.
Okay. All right. That's a good thing when we have multiple people want to introduce it. So that would be for suspension. Okay. Any questions on that? How about item C? Resolution 2021-15. That's to enter into our second year refuge rollover with Kimball. I know we did talk about that quite a bit. We do have a recommendation letter from our service director to move forward with that. If any residents are watching, we know we've had some concerns with a pickup and stuff, but we feel at this time, along with the consortium and our service director exercising the last year of the contract, would be in the best interest of the village.
I'll introduce.
Any questions on that? Otherwise, Mary's going to introduce that for suspension. If Everybody's good with that? Okay. And our last item here, item D, ordinance 2021-12, the revised 260 payroll ordinance. We did talk about that in the last COW meeting, and that's a housekeeping too. I can let Angela comment on that a little bit, but because of the raises, we have to, some people were at the top of their range, so we have to expand the range to accommodate their 1.5% increase they received this year. But,
I just have a quick question for Angela, and this goes to the auditors. We passed legislation in this budget to increase, give all the employees a 1.5% pay raise. Because of that, a handful of employees fell outside of the range. Does the auditors have any issue with us putting the cart before the horse, kind of, if you could call it that, by passing that legislation first, as opposed to changing the pay scales first and then redoing the legislation? You know what I mean? In other words, changing the pay scales first in anticipation of giving the 1.5% pay raise, then creating legislation to give the 1.5% pay raise, and everybody's still within the range, as opposed to the way we did it. We gave the 1.5% pay raise, and now we have to go back and...
I don't think there would be any issue, and actually I could have probably looked at this prior or in the middle of us discussing that pay raise.
Okay.
But I didn't catch it till we were done for those couple employees. So then I figured, let's update now. Now, I've already put an anticipatory amount in for everyone but the chief to kind of cover the next couple years, but we may also be revisiting the whole document at some point. So, no, I don't think the auditors would have any problem with it going that way or simultaneous, to passing the legislation. Because typically in the past, I think you guys have passed it closer to the end of the year when you needed to adjust these. But we had our CBA going so long, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I let it ride, and I caught it after the fact. I checked the bigger ones, but then those couple that went outside the range, I didn't catch till after we awarded the increases.
Yeah.
But in a typical year when we're not dealing with a CBA, the discussion will not take as long about increases or not, hopefully, and then we would be able to go ahead and do it the opposite way.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
was a little bit concerned. I don't think they would have any issue with it either, but if you look at it,
I don't think so.
we were paying for a short period of time
Absolutely.
people outside of the ordinance of their pay scale.
Sure.
So I just wanted to make sure that everything with the auditors
I
is
think it would be a bigger issue if we
okay.
were going the other way with it and paying someone less than what was in that range versus more.
Right.
and we can make note of it with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they want us to be
Yeah, that's right.
transparent and us be, and then sometimes the worst thing is they give a recommendation.
Sure.
So that's not a problem to note that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
as somebody that was stuck for years at the top of my pay scale and not able to get an increase, I think that this is the right thing for our employees. And again, I do want to thank Angela because she did anticipate future potential pay raises. So a lot of these we should not have to go back and
Correct.
revise as soon as we've had to in the past. So again, Angela, thank you for anticipating that and including it.
Any other questions related to item D? Who would like to introduce that for suspension?
I will. Gloria?
Gloria? Okay. Okay, before we start, any questions related to the legislation from anybody?
No comments.
No comments? Okay.
Sarah, can I just ask, I'm sorry, we have one resident that emailed me after last meeting because she used to be able to comment and now she can't seem to. We have the comments open and available, right? Because I'm getting them from other people. Okay, all right, I just want to make sure we're not on.
I'll double check.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready to move forward with the legislation then? Okay. Let's see. Councilwoman Allen, would you like to introduce?
Yep. Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes.
could introduce resolution number 2021-13, a resolution adopting the tax budget of the Village of Walton Hills, Ohio for the fiscal year of 2022, directing that the same be submitted to the fiscal office of Cuyahoga County and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Second by Denny Linville.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of resolution 2021-13.
Second.
Second by Mr. Linville.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 2021-13, tax budget 2022, passed 6-0. Okay. Item B. Raymond?
Mayor Colograph,
Yes.
members of council, I'd like to introduce for suspension resolution number 2021-14, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a change to the contract with Fabrizi Trucking and Paving Company, Inc. for additional paving of Dunham Road and declaring an emergency.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Spitznagel.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes. Mayor Colograph, members of council, I'd like to request adoption of resolution number 2021-14.
Second.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-14, Dunham Road resurfacing asphalt paving extension, passed 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to introduce for suspension Resolution 2021-15, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a rollover year two of the consortium contract with Kimball Recycling and Disposal, Inc. for solid waste removal and recycling services and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Suspension passed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2021-15.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-15, enter a refuge rollover year 2 with Kimball, passed 6-0. Item D.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Gloria.
I'd like to introduce for suspension ordinance number 2021-12, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 260.18 of the Village Codified Ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Linville.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Suspension
Mayor?
passed.
I'd like to ask for adoption of ordinance number 2021-12.
Second.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Linville.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-12, revised 260 payroll ordinance, passed 6-0. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Item number 9, old and new business. Before we get into the new business, for old business, well, I guess it'd be new business too. So, Mr. Spitznagel, if you wanted to give an update or?
Sure.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, rest of council, we had an infrastructure meeting this evening that started at 6 o'clock, and we talked about the road program for this year, 2021, 2022, and 2023. and what the estimated cost to the village would be. And to summarize that program for 2021, we did get county grants for spot repairing and restriping the rest of Dunham Road, Egbert, and Sagamore Road, the north side, our side, and crack sealing Egbert and the north side of Sagamore Road. The estimated total cost for those are $113,000. The materials, which are estimated $54,000, are covered with that county grant, so the cost to the village would be $59,000. And that work has to be done this year by March, so it would be this construction year. Along with that, we had a recommendation from our engineer, Mr. Gelati, to restripe Alexander and Walton roads for a cost of $18,000. That total cost is between the grant and restriping those two main roads is $77,000. Mr. Gelati did suggest and recommend spot repairing side roads to increase their durability and their longevity for $50,000. The total cost of all of that this year would be $127,000. Now, this year in the 2021 budget, there was $90,000 budgeted for Alexander Road that we are not doing. So if we used that money, that would be a net increase of $37,000 to the village's budget for 2021. We do have approximately $50,000. Some of that money in the contingency fund for Dunham Road is going to be used. Approximately, I believe it's $6,100. $6,900 is used, and the rest of that money would come back to Walton Hills, and that project is almost done, and it does look like we will be getting pretty much the rest of that money back. So with the contingency fund money coming back and the money already budgeted for Alexander Road, there would be no net increase to the village's budget this year to do these repairs and road striping as Mr. Gelati suggests. The mayor attended our meeting along with Council President Allen, and the question arose with Sagamore Road. That was a multi-municipality project, and the mayor's going to enter conversations with the other municipalities to see if they want to come in on that type of project this year and possibly get some better pricing due to a larger, rather than just doing the north side and having any cracks or whatever imperfections of the road to the south side infringing upon our side of the road. So he's going to enter into those conversations, which would only better our final cost as far as lowering it. So the Infrastructure Committee would like to make a recommendation. It was unanimous to go ahead with these road construction projects, which is the 2021 county grant program for Egbert, Sagamore, and Dunham Road, and restriping Alexander and Walton Road, and spot repairing the side roads. So that would be our recommendation to the whole of council and to the mayor. I'm sorry, what?
And Sagamore Road?
Yeah, didn't I say Sagamore?
What the mayor was
And the mayor is going to enter into those conversations for Sagamore Road.
And, you know, council can give a consensus. I think we do know we are having a special council meeting on June 29th. We could have a COW meeting either before that or after that, a short one, to discuss that, or if there's anything that's needed, you know, Joe, just to kind of shore that up a little bit, so we can have some conversation there, and if we need to move forward or whatever, we do have consensus. So when we come back, if we take that recess, or you want to have another meeting, or we come back in September, we're ready to go, and we don't have to go through that. So I think, appreciate the infrastructure committee having the meeting tonight before recess and kind of getting us all, you know, ready to move forward with that project, which I think is really important. We all know that we have to keep moving with these side roads too. So this, how is council? Does council feel this? The recommendation from myself is to support the infrastructure committee. I agree with them 100%. So I don't. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I support the infrastructure's recommendations. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would suggest if we have a small COW meeting before our special council meeting on the 29th, and we could get a little more in-depth information and copies of the numbers, but I was at the meeting, I support it. It needs to be done. Our roads need to be started.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I do believe Mr. Gelati said he would not have any problems getting contractors out this fall to do that work. However, it's better for him if he could get because it's got to go out for bid and that takes time, if he could do that during the summer months. So if we could have the recommendation buttoned up, if that's what council's pleasure is to do prior to our break, then he can work on that during the summer.
Right, and so we can probably, if we need a motion or we need something on the 29th, we could do that in that special meeting too. So Joe can work on it, give him a couple of weeks, and then Angela will see if there's anything we need in John for the 29th. Anybody else have any comments? Is all of council in support of that?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's a good thing. We'll get that. That will give me some time to talk to Joe with the other municipality engineers and myself with the administration. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I had anything else for new business. Mr. Montel, do we need if council is going to take a recess for July and August, should we have a motion? Would that probably be the best?
That's fine.
What's that? Well, we're having a council meeting too. Yeah, you could do it at the next, you could do it either here or you can do it on the 29th.
Let's do it the 29th.
Okay, that's fine
Be
too.
back. So we can have it on the agenda then.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. I think that's really it. I did mention the state being out on our 2 routes today. Okay, well, oh, that's right, I'm sorry. But before we get into that, any questions from residents?
No.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
I have something under new business really quick. Our District 6, Representative Phil Robinson,
yes,
has started quarterly meetings with council presidents, similar to the meetings with the mayors that he's had with you.
yes.
So he had his first one on May 24th. It was a virtual meeting, and I attended it along with Solon, Highland Heights, Hunting Valley, Chagrin Falls. And there was just many things that he went over, but just a quick synopsis. He said one of the best ways, if anybody is interested in any of the legislature for Ohio, to just use legislature.ohio.gov. He said it's very user-friendly. You could look it up by a House bill number, you could look up legislation just even by keywords. Some of the things that they are looking at the House right now is overhauling the state report card. And that they would be looking at possibly eliminating the A through F grades because that standard is only used in 10 states anymore across the U.S. And they would probably go to a rating from significantly exceeds to needs more support. A couple of the other things he's trying to get through is with health care, he's looking at paid family leave, PTSD to be covered for first responders, especially after the pandemic year that we've had. He's hoping to be able to invest more in local government funding. Let's see. There was also some tax cuts that are being proposed, 380 million tax cuts that Representative Robinson is not for at all, because for his area it would directly lead to $153 million less for the local governments. And they are also looking at fair funding, which is also a Cupp-Patterson plan for the school systems. And right now they are going through due diligence, trying to figure out exactly what the base cost to educate a child from K through 12 would be. Once that's determined, then they're going to be figuring out the local share and then start funding. And his example actually was with Bedford City Schools. Currently for 2021, they're saying that the funding now is $6.5 million from the state. And for 2022, it should be $14.5 million. This would take the funding off of our property taxes and be coming from the government. So it's something interesting to be watching for.
Okay, very good. I have one item that I missed. If some of you noticed and I had a couple of residents call me on it, the grass has been high on the First Energy property.
Yes.
And I did talk to Kevin Smalley through email, and he told me they are going to take care of it. So they've had some issues, so. But he is aware of it, and they're going to take care of it. So any residents that are watching, I had some residents call me with the number and stuff. I was trying to track them down, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just have some information. We've had 2 recreation and community life meetings, and we discussed a lot of things, and one of the things was a survey, to come up with a survey of what the residents would want. I came up with 36 of my own ideas of different between the recreation and community life, between the park and the event center. But I believe I need input from Natalie, from the mayor, the law director, and I believe, is it Indeed the name of the training center, the one that we have for our human resources? What is that? What's their name?
Your partner in HR?
Indeed is
Indeed
an employment service.
Yeah, that's where we post our job postings. That's a website.
Your partner in HR is our HR consultant.
Okay. Just to get their input, because maybe something I'm thinking of, maybe our law director can say, you know, that doesn't work because of this, to eliminate some things. So I just want to let you know that I will be working on that, because like if we ask for their name, address, telephone number, and age, it's not a good idea to ask for their age, or it is. You know, maybe people want to answer it and not put down their name. So it isn't just simple, you know, this, and this. I want to make sure that it is correct the first time out. So, but I will do like a draft, give it to the council, that they can look at things, and if they can think of other things too, so we can compile this and come up with something that will work with everybody's input.
Very good.
It's involved in it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing that. I think that just about covers everything. Yes, and Angela's going to do
Keep trying
her...
to run right over.
No, that's
I'm going
okay.
to do a very quick and dirty budget update, knowing we have several things to discuss in executive session. And that way, when we meet on the 29th, this Friday, I will have all of your last 3 report 52s for March, April, and May to you. You'll have a week and a half to call me, come in, mull them over, and on the 29th, we can probably sit down and say, is there any drastic changes that need to be made to the budget before we break, or to look at for fall. I shouldn't say before we break, but to look at for fall or anything like that. We are pretty status quo. Taxes are up. Income taxes are up. The JED is pretty much on par. And we are, we're on par revenue for expenditures right now as of the end of April. I'm still buttoning up May. And so we should still be about at least $100,000 to the black. And over last year, we're down about $300,000 in expenditures and revenues. We've been right on par, almost exactly with the revenue and expenditures the last 2 Aprils. But we've been spending less this year so far, so that's a good thing. We still have to shore up the rest of Dunn, but so everything's looking great. Nobody's way out of line for anything. Everyone's been still very cautious of their budgets. We, knock on wood, haven't had any major upsets come to something where we needed to spend that we weren't anticipating. So still no money from the government yet. Yeah. Any questions?
The good thing is we're not counting on that.
No, we're still just sitting
And
and
that's,
waiting.
right, but we're
Yeah.
living within our budget that we budgeted.
Absolutely. Real quick too, I know Officer Kwiatkowski sent me something today to look into for a grant for a one-time bonus payment to first responders from the pandemic. So I'm going to look into how we apply to have them receive that. And there was also some other funding through this grant called the COPS grant that Stan and I are working on that might send some additional monies our way for first responder pay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Speaking of grants, that reminded me, I sent you a few days ago, or at the end of last week, I don't know if you got it, but a place for a basketball grant for the court wanted you to submit the data through this organization.
Yes.
And you had to sign up for it, give your EIN number and all that stuff. So I think I'm almost positive I should have CC'd you on it.
You did send it to me. You did.
Yeah.
I opened it as
So I thought that was
go back to it.
better for
Yes.
you guys to make that decision
Yes.
of whether
Sure.
you wanted to do that or
Yeah.
not, and then proceed, and then I would proceed with that.
With that comment, you probably want to, I don't know if you want to comment on the CAVS grant. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and
Oh.
signing it. I know,
We submitted,
Yes, go ahead. I know
yeah,
Mary-
today we submitted that letter to the Cavs. Everybody signed it, and thanks for doing that, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll get something this time.
thank you to Mr. Spitznagel and the committee and stuff for putting that together. And
Sure.
everybody's supporting it, expediting it.
Angela,
Yes.
just wanted to ask, there was an article in Sunday's paper about some of the CARES money going out to the communities. Did you happen to see that?
I did not see the article.
Okay, because in it did state that Walton Hills was to receive just over $222,000.
Right, that would be half of our money.
Right, but we don't, I just want to reiterate, we don't know yet when that's actually coming.
Nope.
No,
So, because that's the question.
Or what we could use it
You know,
on.
from
We've
the
all been
residents.
sitting.
and stuff.
I mean, I have a general idea of things we could use it on and definitely not use it on, because again, everything has to be tied back to the pandemic.
Right,
So,
oh, we're going to spend it.
oh yeah.
but just, yeah, I was just saying, so the
I mean,
residents,
wisely.
so the residents know, we still have
Yeah,
no
we still are in
idea
the
when
holding
we're
pattern.
actually going to get that first half.
Right.
Yep. And the second half will not be awarded any earlier than 1 year from whenever they award that first half. And the monies need to be used by the end of 2024, I believe it is.
Because we do have the expenses related, as part of the pandemic. We did change our operation, and so those monies will be used wisely and appropriately. Anybody else have anything just for the residents, item 11, and anybody watching, we are going to ask for a motion to go in executive session. When we do reconvene, there will be no vote taken or any motions made at that time. We just will adjourn the meeting. I just want to make that, I mean, you're welcome to stay on for that short time, or however we are in executive session, you won't be able to view that. That is something that we are allowed to, those items discuss internally, but we will come back to adjourn the meeting, just so I don't want people, if they have other things to do or whatever. And they can always come back to it and watch it another time too. So at this time, could I get a motion to enter an executive session?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss items pursuant to ORC 121.22, the sale of land, economic development, pending litigation, and personnel, K-9 officer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Linville?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel?
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay, we are going to executive session at 7:46 p.m. Turn it off. I have a motion to reconvene from executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to reconvene from executive session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Linville.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Linville?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel?
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Can I have a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay. Vote on the motion.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Linville?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Terlasky?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel?
Yes.
Councilman Whedon?
Yes.
Okay. Council meeting adjourned at 9:48 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back next week.